Pokemon Iceberg charts. Now, I've watched a lot of these, my favorites being Nessie Retro, Porter Cody's, Hayden_IRL, and The Rogue Renegade, to name a few. I really enjoy this video format, and have ran out of videos to listen to while I'm at work about this topic, so I figured that others might have that same issue. That is why I have started this mini-series, going over my very own Pokemon Iceberg. I have watched a lot of these Iceberg videos in the past, but have tried my hardest to avoid rewatching them anytime recently, to keep this video away from unintentional plagiarism due to common topics of research. So this video should still feel very fresh, and is most likely going to be rather long as we dive beneath the waves of the Pokemon Iceberg. Stop, 1 moment. I just need 30 seconds of your time, maybe a minute. I would like to take a moment and promote the channel. We are only 220 subscribers away from achieving our goal of 500 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you could take a moment of your time to hit that subscribe button, I'd very appreciate it. Thank you. End of ad. If you do not care about a topic that is being covered, I have made sure to implement the timestamp code so you can skip on to the next subject, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you. Voltorb is a haunter. In Kanto's Lavender Town, being just a cave away from the power plant, due to similar eye shape between them, people have theorized that Voltorb is just a haunter that has went and possessed a Pokeball, but due to the capture technology, causes Haunter to become trapped, and the only way for Haunter to escape is by using self-destruct. I don't really buy this theory though, kinda lame. Pikachu hates Sony. In the N64 game, Hey You Pikachu, you're able to have a virtual pet Pikachu, where you can speak certain words and phrases to get Pikachu to react. It is a popular gaming myth that when you say Sony, Pikachu will get angry. However, this is not true. Genwunners. Genwunners are a fan-made term for fans that refuse to acknowledge any game or extra media material made after Generation 1. I feel they've calmed down a bit currently in displaying gear of official Pokemon news, but back in Gen 5 and 8, oh man, were they the absolute worst ever. Cerebi.net is a Pokemon fan site made by the one Joe Merrick that covers all official Pokemon related news. This site was first created in the year of our Lord, October 21st, 1999. He made the first incarnation of the website when he and a friend of his went to his school's computer lab during a lunch break. Joe Merrick has 2 computing degrees from Bournemouth University and is even a published writer in numerous magazines for both UK and US, including the now sadly defunct Nintendo Official Magazine, where he spoke for 9 pages about Emerald. A very popular page on Cerebi.net is PokeEarth, which is basically the Pokemon equivalent of Google Maps that combines every region, be it from mainline games or spin-off, such as the Pokemon Ranger games. What makes this even more interesting is the map has actually become canon, as it can be seen in the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire houses. Dex It. Back on June 11, 2019, during E3's Nintendo Treehouse, the poor translator held his Sobble plushie tight, oblivious to the scale of the bomb he's about to set off, and made the haunting announcement.
And so what that means for Pokemon Sword and Shield is that players will be able to transfer their Pokemon from Pokemon Home only if they appear in the Galar region Pokedex,
as a way to help balance the competitive aspect of the games. It did not help that there was an article published interviewing Game Freak about this exact topic, and was very poorly translated. A basic summary of this article was Game Freak stating that the reason was to focus on updating models and animations to hell and back for every Pokemon available in Galar, causing the already massive bomb to evolve into basically a nuke, exploding all over Twitter and YouTube. The impact of this is still being felt to this day, as the community exploded, milking this for everything they could, as well as some other very horrible things that will be talked about later in the Iceberg. The name Dex It comes from the Brexit debate, where UK citizens were considered if their country should leave the European Union. For more information on this topic, I highly recommend the Loxton video going over this. Link to it in the description. Hashtag thank you Game Freak. As a response to the mountain of hatred and negativity, some brave souls took to Twitter and posted their favorite Pokemon moments as a way to combat all the negativity the Dex Purge brought upon the fandom. Game Freak employees even spoke out in gratitude for these people, as honestly, yeah, being persecuted and bullied online by millions of people just because Patrat isn't in the game is very stupid. Diglett's body. Diglett's body is a common mystery in the world of Pokemon. Diglett's bottom hasn't ever been seen. However, thanks to Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team, we do know for a fact that it does have feet. 7.8 Too Much Water. Back in 2014, Cali Plague made an IGN review of Omega Ruby and gave a very positive review. However, dropped the final score's points due to the large amounts of mandatory water areas in the game. This review has been memed on ever since. The GS Ball was introduced in the anime. It was unable to be sent to Professor Oak through the PC, so Ash was tasked to get it from Professor Ivy. After retrieving it, Professor Oak couldn't do anything with it, so he made Ash go to Johto, talk to Kurt, a Pokeball master, where Kurt still holds the ball to this day. After all 61 episodes of the GS Ball saga, it was never able to be opened. However, Celebi was stated to be inside, but they scrapped everything due to choosing Celebi of the 2004 movie and hoped fans would just forget about it. However, some new information we got recently through the Terra Leak, the GS Ball, where we always assumed it meant Gold and Silver Ball, but it actually stood for Generation Sympathy Ball. And prior to the Terra Leak, a NPC in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon mentions how the GS Ball actually stands for the Greatest Smith's Ball. Pokemon Shock. On December 16th, 1997, in Japan, the 38th episode of the Pokemon anime was released, and would later be responsible for sending over 600 Japanese children to the hospital. After the incident, the anime was put on a 4-month hiatus, and the episode was pulled from rotation, and never aired again. As an act of goodwill, they banned Porygon and its entire evolutionary line from ever being in an episode again, even though Pikachu was the one who caused the incident in the first place. Though, Horizons is pretty much a brand new anime, so hope isn't lost that our favorite 3D duck may finally make his longly awaited return to the anime. Distribution cards. They are actually pretty cool, and are what Nintendo would send to places like Toys R Us and GameStop for event Pokemon. The cashier would put their distribution cartridge into the DS, and now anyone who was nearby with their own console and copy of compatible game would open up mystery gift and connect to the store's DS. Now with them primarily using Wi-Fi for these, it's not as common anymore. You can find a lot of these cartridges being sold online on eBay, Etsy, or some other similar sites, though they're all for some outrageous prices. I even saw one at my local game store a few months ago that was selling a Keldeo event card. I really wanted to buy it, but it was for $200, but I just could not find a way to justify the purchase. I recently bought my own set off Etsy, and man, it's so cool getting to relive the Gen 4 events. I remember always begging my grandpa to take me and my sisters to GameStop for the Heart Gold Legendary Beast event. It was so much fun. What good memories. Masuda Method. Basically, when you take one Pokemon that is from, say, Germany, and the other that is from France, and you crush them together, you have higher odds of getting a shiny Pokemon when breeding. The name comes from a high-ranking Game Freak employee named Junichi Masuda, who, on his blog in December 2007, was explaining all sorts of useful features the GTS will have now that it has been brought into the franchise as of Generation 4. Though, he was not the one who named it. The name was purely assigned by fans. Blue's Raticate. Back in Red and Blue, throughout the early game, Blue has Rattata on his team. And once you battle him on the Saiyan, he will have a Raticate. Then, once you fight him again in Lavender Tower, he no longer has it. Then states, "What are you doing here? Your Pokemon don't look dead," causing people to believe that Blue wasn't able to find a Pokemon Center soon enough to save his Pokemon from the grip of death. However, this theory is very easy to debunk. First, the St. Anne doesn't leave until you give the ship captain a small private massage in his captain's quarters, so Blue will have plenty of time to get to the Pokemon Center. So yes, the theory is very fun to think about, but it's 100% debunked, and he just put it in his PC. Surprised Pikachu. On June 3rd, 1997, Season 1, Episode 10. At the 3-minute, 45-second mark, you can see the origin of this glorious meme. Hypno's Kidnappings. Plenty of Hypno's Pokédex entries state how it will always be luring children away. In fact, in Fire Red Leaf Green, you can even save a little girl named Lost Stella, who was hypnotized to follow Hypno into the woods. Hypno will always be the scariest Pokemon for me, because 13 years ago, my mom had to leave the house for like 20 minutes, so it was just me and my little sister home alone. I was 9 and my little sister was 6. We always loved watching Jay Witt's videos. When we got to the second entry in his creepy/weird Pokédex entries video, he shows how Hypno steals away children, and then shows a t-shirt of him stealing away a little boy and a little girl. And seeing that image sent a tangible lightning bolt of pure fear into both of us. I remember we paused the video and ran into our kitchen and hid behind the counter, trying to keep us safe from Hypno. As the years since have passed, I've gotten less scared of the Pokemon, but I would be lying if seeing its face didn't make me super antsy. The Hypno's Lullaby creepypasta did not help at all. 4Kids dub, September 8th, 1998 to April 26, 2006. 4Kids Entertainment was the one responsible for dubbing the Pokemon anime. They are very well known for extreme localization practices and censorship. Luckily, unlike their dubbing for the franchise of One Piece, Pokemon is one of their least bastardized projects. Once their contract expired with Pokemon, they were unable to continue, as the Pokemon Company was able to create their own dubbing studio in-house. So 4Kids services were no longer required in the eyes of Pokemon. And since I don't think I'll ever be able to talk about it again after this, was anyone else afraid of the intros for those VHS tapes? Here, let's watch it real quick. As you can see, it's so creepy with the FBI warning on it, thinking I'm doing something illegal. The bright blue and the bright neon green text walls leading to absolute silence till this whispered whistle fades in that gets really loud. Then the Viz Media one starts and it's so creepy with the silence and abrupt noise from the big cube that is shattered and starts flying at the screen. Then I hear this anime girl say,
"It seemed like a typical day in the neighborhood around the Tendo training hall, until something different happened. And due to a misunderstanding, I wind up getting kidnapped."
Every single night, followed by this commercial about some poor farm kid whose grandpa is dying.
So this is how you waste your time, is it, young man? When you should be home, doing your chores and helping your grandfather with his work.
Oh, Grandpa, what am I
Life
gonna do?
is hard.
I don't even have any money for food.
Then there's a big fire.
We did it! Yeah!
Now, when there's an emergency, with the help of his dog, Nello can find his way. The Dog of Flanders.
Then have this guy scream. Followed up by this actually pretty beautiful moral about leadership.
The great ones among us do not choose their greatness. They are chosen.
But that really relaxing background music and beautiful narration is cut off by this loud, scary lion roar. I remember 7-year-old me would always run out of bed to pause it before the scary lion showed up, but would be a second too late and my head would be right by the speaker and would end up crying when the lion roared right into my ear. Demos. Pokemon has created several demos, such as the Space World 1997, which will be covered later down in the Iceberg, Mystery Dungeon Gold Rescue Team, Sword and Shield demo, where you get to fight Nessa, X and Y's demo, you get to travel around a modified version of Route 4, with a random starter, with a Helioptile and Sylveon, and even ride a Skiddo. Diamond and Pearls demo, which has the player adventure around Jubilife all the way to Orberg Gate, and is given a Lucario, Roselia, and Mime Jr. Very obscure ones, like Pikachu DS Touch demo, where you play the equivalent of Hey You Pikachu with the features of Pokemon and Me. Then finally, the most important 2 demos. The ones for Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, which is a full-on mini storyline of starting in Moss Deep and teaming up with Steven Stone. Then there is the Sun and Moon demo, which has you be given a Ash Greninja from Ash himself, and travel along 10 Carat Hill, taking pictures of the Jangmo line. How fun. It's a massive bummer they probably won't ever make a demo again. Bizarre commercials. Pokemon has a lot of strange commercials, such as one advertising the anime that revealed Ash has an Aunt Hillary and 2 younger cousins, Trey and Troy. And we meet his science teacher, Mr. Carlson. Or another where Pokemon all become noodles, and this young boy in the commercial desires nothing more than to devour them all.
Pokemon pasta. Can you catch them all? Can you eat them all?
The bus driver commercial. One that scared me a lot as a child. Here, let's watch it.
Hey, little buddy, want a ride?
Pikachu!
Yeah, whatever. I'll be right back.
Where can you catch all 150 Pokemon? On your Game Boy, that's where. Pokemon for Game Boy is here. With both packs, you can catch them all. Games and systems sold separately.
Such a terrifying commercial, when you really think about it. That Pikachu was just going on a bus, meaning it had somewhere to go, waiting for him to arrive. To them, they would just be left waiting, with the assumption that Pikachu ghosted them. And that says the same thing for the rest of the Pokemon that suddenly disappeared, when in reality, they're in one twisted man's Game Boy. Pikablu. Before Generation 2 was available, several Pokemon began to show in materials, including Meryl, who, due to a similar looking face as Pikachu, a lot of fans thought there was a connection, dubbing this creature Pikablu. The name even stuck to some official material, such as the official Topps trading cards. And Pikablu was one of the alleged Pokegods, which will be covered later down on the Iceberg. Burger King toy murders. On December 11th, 1999, a 13-month-old girl in Sonora, California, suffocated while playing with a container in her playpen, with half of the Burger King Happy Meal toy covering her mouth and nose. The county sheriff issued a warning about the containers, though when Burger King was asked to issue a recall notice on the toy, they refused. Though, something interesting I did find out during my research, I have never actually heard of anyone talking about before. There was almost a second death, just a mere 12 days after the original, on December 23rd, 1999, in Kansas. An 18-month-old girl had the same thing happen to her. However, her father was able to pry off the ball just in time. Burger King then finally agreed to go through with the issuing of a recall, but then had to wait another 5 days so they think of a strategy in place, risking more lives. So, I heard you like Mudkipz. In 2005, originating from a deviant art group called the Mudkipz Club, the creator of the forum would tag along
So, I heard you like Mudkipz
on people's posts to get them to join his art group. Then, what made it more famous was when DeviantArt celebrated April Fools by changing everyone's profile picture into Mudkipz for the day. Alright, time for the finale of the first layer of the Pokemon Iceberg, Ash's Coma Theory. This is a Pokemon creepypasta, explaining that everything after the first episode of the anime is all a dream inside of Ash's head, after Pikachu smites him, an extremely powerful Thunderbolt. You know, I never actually read this creepypasta before. Everyone who talks about it never really explains, like, the ending. So, let's give it a read. Yes, here we go. The main juxtaposition of the text is explaining that every character represents an aspect of Ash's mind, such as Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy represent him being stable. All of his professors represent Ash's ideals. Brock is meant to be Ash's repressed sexuality and fatherly instincts. Alright. Misty is unattainability. Gary is wish fulfillment. I guess, maybe? Team Rocket are what Ash deems as negative character traits. Meowth is corrupted innocence. Giovanni is Ash making his dad, who left him, a villain. Butch and Cassidy are meant to symbolize being unable to escape his dad. James is Ash's implied homosexuality and gullibility, while Jesse is vanity and manipulation. Max is Ash's ego, while May is Ash's id. Dawn is Ash giving himself a chance to love, and the story calls her new super female. And Pikachu is his humanity. His Pokemon represent aspects of himself as well. Bulbasaur, his unwillingness to change. Butterfree, his crushing loneliness. And Charmander being Ash's sex What? Alright, I'm gonna stop here. I see why no one continues. Ash's why? Why, man? What is this? How about we don't end this video on that? Let's have a quick palette cleanser before we end off the first layer of the iceberg and start up Comet Spotlight and the Pokemon Moon Journey. Yeah, well, perfect. I actually just remembered something. While I was researching for the lore of I Heard You Like Mudkipz, I found this really fun animation by Sochi Uchiha. Let's give it a quick watch, and you can find her channel in the description.
So I hear you like Mudkipz.
Actually, I don't really like Mudkipz.
But everybody likes Mudkipz.
But I don't. I kind of prefer Torchic.
Everybody
Likes
Mudkipz.
Yeah, but I don't.
How fun. There we go. That should be a bit better for an ending to leave off on for the first layer. I'll try to work on layer 2 as soon as I can. Though, I do want to at least start working on my Christmas special of me analyzing and reviewing the Pokemon episode, Holiday Hijinks, and maybe a few smaller videos too. Though, this was still super fun to make, so I'll definitely start working on it. Alright, now for Comment Spotlight. And remember, if you would like to be featured in a future video, leave me a comment, and if I find it really sweet or funny, I'll feature it. Burger Snacks for Max says, obsessed with Shaman being a FNAF fan. Yeah. Joel Fletcher 4584 says, my theory is that Cosmoem's weight is some sort of defense mechanism, so that when it gets threatened, it gets insanely heavy. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Typhoon Boone says, the Alola games are so unhinged, I love them. DoomFam9227 says, how is Wailord less than 400 kilograms? Well, DoomFam9227, here's an answer. Wailord is, yes, for a time, largest Pokemon. However, due to it being based off a blue whale, it is also inspired by a blimp. Brandon1Spinzo-Za9279 says, a lesser known one from one NPC in Pokemon Emerald's Battle Pyramid says, I trained from the egg up. Samwise495 says, hello, I think I adore you. Thank you for sharing one of your favorite Pokemon quotes. Keep them coming, guys. JohnMan12G73 says, I love listening to Iceberg themed videos. Also, gotta ask, have you found any shinies during your playthrough? Sadly, no shinies for me yet. Though, a few months ago, I was playing Pokemon X with my little sister, and was going through Terminus Cave, and randomly got into a horde battle with a Durant, and boom, one was a shiny. So that was pretty cool. Here's a picture. Also, Gemman, hope the first layer of the iceberg was to your liking. 5095SMF says, oh, Alolands. Grim Phantom 99, Insane Enda 85 says, love Team Skull, they're so relatable and funny. Another one from everyone's favorite, Burger Snacks for Max. And he says, Pokemon Iceberg sounds fun. Clearly, you know what you were doing with that lick-a-tongue thumbnail, because what? I have no idea what you mean. Not the info dump, but most of the old school PokeTubers I watched was because of my older brother watching them. But I did have a tricky Wii phase at some point. I remember Kid Me getting my hands on an iTunes gift card and using it to buy Jaywitz's Poke Problems rap. Yo, that is super cool. I haven't listened to Poke Problems in forever. But also, yeah, I love the earlier style of PokeTubers. And that's what my videos are trying to emulate. My biggest inspiration is definitely Jaywitz's educational side and Jethro Tex's editing style and comedy, though still enough to make it my own. I love Nuzlocks and challenge runs, but I've always been more of a fan of just focusing on your playthrough's own personal journey and try to think of the Pokemon more as characters than a spreadsheet. And now, as for my replay of Pokemon Moon, I was not able to make much progress recently. I was pretty busy with work, this video, and also D&D, my friends, so I did not have much free time. Though, Swansea did evolve into Primarina, so that's pretty cool, and we're about to take on the Electric-type trial of Sophocles. Here's my current playtime, here's my current team, and here's my current Pokedex. Wish us luck, guys. I'll catch you guys next time.